This is a video about Jesus being persecuted for practicing medicine and about the prophecy of Ishmael's nation to give advances to the world of science and medicine foretold in both the Old and New Testament. Surah 4 is named the women, and it is my belief that, though not historically provable, that the Gospels of the New Testament were scribed and kept alive by women until credit was given to men around 60 AD at the earliest. Let me take a moment just to state that some of this video is just my opinion, and I'm gonna try to stick to the matters at hand. The Hebrew letters for God get some attention in the human psyche as pertainingly relevant to the numbers 3-4 or 7-4. I can't learn those letters for you, but the American public school system sure could in about one day. The severity of the weight of these numbers falls in the books of 2 Kings chapters 4 and 7. Chapter 4 is an Elisha restoring life to the widow's son, and chapter 7 is the 4 lepers who decide to stop getting treated poorly, and God makes the city hear chariots, so they come up on an abandoned city and have treasure. But by not telling anybody about it, they were doing disservice to the king, and they did the right thing. So let's get into chapter 4. And there cried a certain woman, "The creditor is come to take my 2 sons to be bondsmen or slaves." Elisha suggests selling oil that divinely duplicates its dimensions and whatever drug the oil really was, or whatever it was able to withhold the boys from becoming slaves. That's how much value is placed on human life even back then. So this widow's son was dead. I'm guessing probably from some sort of overdose, as the history of the Bible is absolutely riddled with the nations conspiring to ensnare the PTSD-worn Hebrews with addiction to substances. Numbers chapter 21 illustrates how fiery serpents came to plague and bite the Israelites, and many of them died. The Nahash is the emblem of medicine for a reason. Not what I was expecting, though, and I thought since I got a kick out of this, you might too. Elisha lays his staff over the child's face, and after stretching over him with multiple attempts, life was restored to him, and the boy even sneezes 7 times. Now, ephedra is an intoxicant, and it is a nasal decongestant. Here is some more information about ephedra, which, until recent times, was the constitutionary ingredient in most weed. To paraphrase the Roman poet Horace, the abuser of a substance does not weigh against its proper or right use. I'm pretty sure, since the Quran states there is some benefit in intoxicants, but the folly is greater than the benefits. And isn't this cool how one of the genuses of the ephedra is still called staph to this day? So I can suggest you read chapters 4 and 7 of Malachim Bet yourself for the full grasp, but I'm on a time limit, and I'm going to Genesis now. Abraham had 2 sons himself, Isaac and Ishmael. Regardless of which book got the information correct, I see that both sons are promised by God to become great nations and to bless the whole world through their discipleship to the true God. I'm not going to start judging Abraham for however he handled being God's chosen vessel, but that because I don't have enough time or care to figure out how to. The Bible and the Quran work together. If you can get the lost scriptures, it's even sadder and gets me more heated how physicians or priests are the same person, and the Hippocratic Oath is perhaps the most sacred oath a person can undertake. Ishmael was rather accurately and judgmentally foretold as being a wild ass of a man. The story of Balaam hearing his ass speak comes to mind, and refusing to move God's angel out of the road. Now, I feel that the angels and messengers are different, and angels exist in a biochemical availability and
He's letting me be the angel right now. Shh.
reactability to the, shall we say, sufferer. LOL.
Can't believe you got away with that.
Some Bibles use the word colt. Some use the word ass. I'm sure that that's by design also. The people in power entered the church with the purpose to deceive the flock, and Christ warns us that if we don't watch out in this tribulation that we're in, even the very elect Christians will be able to be deceived. Jesus chooses to enter Jerusalem for Passover when death fled over the house of the Israelites and consumed the firstborn sons of their captors. I think if one reflects on the dark ages of the notoriety of the church for keeping people in the dark by craft, Jesus knew that through some fraternal love he was relying on Ishmael to hold the certain torch for modern medicine and to have that gain a foothold on the world. Regardless of what opinions I may or may not have about the church and Islam as a whole, I have to tell myself that as often as I may be immersed in what seems like nonsense or just bad mojo, there is a hand of the Almighty guiding the way, even if we don't see it all the time, or practically ever. I love the illustration of Jesus' cursing the fig tree to wither, because a human being was sold then for an orchard of trees, which would be used to make money off his dignified slave butt. Makes him madder than a wet hornet to see this stuff, and this next stuff is really cool too. In Genesis, we see that a bottle of water is given to Hagar from Abraham. Jesus said that it shall come to pass that anyone who offers you a cup of cold water in the name of one of these taught ones shall be called my disciple. So not to insult your intelligence, but I come across these ones pretty late in my studies, wicked recently, and I would just assume that it means that fighting traumatic warfare is the true mark of a Christian or Muslim or man of this everythings, and not just convincing people they're crazy for profit or pleasure. Jesus didn't get a lot of long-term fans in Israel, at least during his life. There's more support for his legacy from so-called outsider cultures. And that may be why he uses the term your brother, be reconciled with your brother, and these carefully preserved and crafted profundities. I just like he thinks to see credit due where it's given. The story of the history of beauty is lucky to be around at all, and as would be presented uncorrupt. I would venture getting drunk or accusing your girl of cheating so she's made to drink some baking soda and get stoned, then have the guilt of passion smack you right up. You needed to pot or get off the shit. Stay tuned for my next video on Numbers 5 and 6, or donate to the Smile Train charity, or whatever you can do, even if it's just a subscription or a like. You have no idea how much my people want to know they help someone else in some way. Assalamu alaikum. Shut up, Jesus.